Another episode of Jonesdale, Claude Jones Presents. We're back at Earth Center, like part 3. We have, introduce yourself.
My name is Ekrahim Mahatipsau.
And my name is Mary Happy Mehmet Susur.
Okay, so we're going to find out now about initiate school, how she graduated, and how she progressed in time school, before she got to school, and how she progressed more, and then explain more about the Earth Center and what it does for people coming to nature to learn about the culture. Okay, speak for yourself. Is Mary Happy?
Oh, I'm first? Okay, my name is Mary Happy. I've been part of the Earth Center for almost 2 years now, and it has been such a great experience. I would say the Earth Center saved me from my own self, and it also brought me closer to my culture, not only to learn it, but also to understand it, and also to practice what my ancestors practiced and live the way my ancestors lived. The concept here that we teach is goes way back to the time of the pharaohs. You know, this is teaching that has not been corrupted by the European. It is straight from our ancestors, and it just helps us to understand who we are, where we come from, and how we should be as a people, how should we present ourselves as a people. Especially the way, the media portray us. It's not always in the best light, and it's interesting because we as Kemetic people, Black people, we have so much in our blood. We have so much history. We have so much to give. We have so much to love about ourselves. But the way we are portrayed, a lot of us might not really want to be Black or be African or be Kemetic because our history has been so tainted with negative image. And I think here has given me more of a lot of history of who I am, and in turn made me become more and more proud of who I am, where I come from, and to go more deeper into understanding my people, and to write, every day to write a better history for myself. So I would advise people to come and just get to know us and learn about our history and to become part of the family.
Okay. Now, says, like, you mean Kemetic people.
Kemetic.
You don't mean Black, you mean Kemetic.
Kemetic, yes.
Kemetic.
Well, I say Black because, to identify, for people to understand.
I understand that too, but more Kemetic.
Kemetic.
Black is not even national color. Right. That's another story. Another whole other story for more history, but okay. Thank you very much. Okay, brother, introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Ekrahim Mahatipsau. I've been with the initiation in the Earth Center since for about 4 years now. It's been a life-altering experience for me, and I'm just grateful to my ancestors for bringing me to the Earth Center and leading me in this direction. I want to give thanks and acknowledge the prophet of the traditions, Dem Dawala Musa Mordenabig, the founder of the Earth Center. I want to give thanks to him for bringing this initiatic knowledge to the West. And his whole objective was to try to reconnect humanity back to their true roots, their traditional roots, their cultural roots. So he founded the Earth Center as the vehicle by which to propagate this traditional teachings, and it's nothing he created or came up with. This is knowledge that was passed on to him, and as Mary Happy pointed out, it's the knowledge that was kept hidden for the most part in small, humble, traditional villages in traditional America, traditional Africa, And that was done in order to protect the knowledge, protect it from foreign influences and outside influences. And so that knowledge was preserved, and his elders, his teachers, passed it on to him. And once he came of age, he had this idea that it was about time that the traditions was brought out. For a long time, the traditions were kept in secret, and so to be preserved and to be kept pure. But he had this idea that, had the vision that it was time for the knowledge to go out, and for traditional people to stand up and say, this is us, this is who we are, this is what we hold in. If you look at the traditional approach to life, the modern approach to life, any logical being could look at those two things and look at the history, and you could weigh those two options, and you could say, well, okay, which way or which approach is all about preserving life, and that's it. And I think any logical person would have to say, well, the traditional approach is more sustainable. You know that. That's what the Earth Center is all about, trying to connect the modern human being in the West here, who is thinking with a colonial mind, thinking with the Western mind, trying to, you might say, kind of give them a new paradigm, so to speak.
Okay.
That is traditional and rooted in nature and reality.
Okay, now what do you, I ask a question. What do you say to the other brothers who in Africa or areas that don't claim that we are part of that same continent? Or what do you say to brothers in Africa right now, like in Nigeria, who got Christianity, Jesus statues, going to Nigeria, who being brainwashed over there now with Christianity? What do you say about that area?
So, if you look at the history of colonialism and how they go about it, is they come in and they start from basically the youngest generation. That's where they start. So if you look at it, you'll see that colonialism as a project is usually, it starts off with missionaries. And their objective, one of the first things they do is they build a school. And then they get local people to start sending their children to these schools. And that's where the indoctrination starts, right? So immediately you could set up like a clash even between generations in that scenario, right? The older people, who are the parents, are still rooted in traditions, right? Maybe. But then they send the young offspring to be educated by these missionaries who are indoctrinating them with a whole different value system. So you can see immediately there's the ground has been set for like an intergenerational clash, right? Yeah. So it happens on multiple levels within our countries and a lot of these countries. But after years of indoctrination, we've been it started out being imposed pretty much on us.
Yeah.
This Christianity doctrine.
Black Christian code.
Yeah, I mean, so
cool.
So it started out being imposed pretty much, and to the point now where, like in the West, and even in America, in Africa as well, you see that human beings, we have to realize we're corrupt and corrupted. And if it's a situation where I see as a human being, like I can get certain benefits, or it seems like things work out better for me if I subscribe to a certain ideology or a certain belief system or whatsoever, then that belief system is it's some kind of seduction. I'm going to be attracted to it, right? Because I see what it could do for me materially. So on that level, we have that. We have that in Merita. That's still going on as well, right? But it's people who have lost their connection to their ancestors and to the traditions that would actually fall for this whole notion of Christianity.
Okay. Okay, I like that. But I don't know, some my audience out there, and know the picture you see of the so-called Jesus Christ you're looking at is a homosexual. Let you know that the name of the man you're worshiping is Bogatti. Bogatti was a 1600 bishops whose son died of a homosexual, a rapist and murder. And the Bogatti family told Leon the Virgin, pay the shrine of my son, that he'll live forever. So the person you got hanging around your neck and your ears, they call Bogatti. And you look it up in the history books. And they made an image of that person, and they made an image on the walls and put him in the book of Constantine, who also started the Christ who called Serapis. Serapis was the person called the Christ of the last European Pharaoh area. That's history books. And then everybody trying to say about Christianity is fake and fraudulent because it don't exist. Okay, well.
Right. Jesus never existed.
It never existed. God came from Haru. So, I mean, that's the whole concept of going back to our ancestors, Kemetic, but he stole our whole heritage. And that came, you look in the history books, in the books, on the Bogatti and Serapis. There wasn't no such thing as Jesus, because they want to J in Hebrew. Okay. Now, we'll go back now. Explain to me how school progressed you from where you came from, and where do you see you going in the future area?
Yeah, well, my background, you might say, or my belief system before I came to the Earth Center was Rastafarism, or Rasta. But that's coming from the same kind of Judeo-Christian approach to, you might say, divinity, to define the world, right? In a sense, right? It's like a Judeo-Christian belief system, and it's still within that construct. What the Earth Center did was show me like what our ancestors were doing before the white man came into to America, right? So the traditional way, which is not religion and is not religious, it's spirituality. So, and what that means is it's a technical approach to refining the self, right? And, understanding that there's a seeing aspect, or there's an aspect to the existence that I can see, and there's also an unseen aspect to the existence as well. So there's aspects of the existence that I can't see, or I can't sense with my five senses, right? But I know they exist, okay? Also, the central role of ancestors, right? And the Earth Center pointed out obligations to our ancestors, right? Made the very important point that you wouldn't exist without your ancestors, and basically clarified the role in terms of the greater existence of the ancestors, right? Of your ancestors. So your ancestors are really like the intermediaries between the gods, or the Neteru, and us on Earth. So the world of the dead, or the Imentet, or our ancestors would be that intermediary plane. So basically, our ancestors, they advocate for us, or on behalf of us, to the Neteru. And likewise, blessings come down through our ancestors. Okay? So if the Neteru decided they wanted to bless you, just like if a parent came into this room with a child and you wanted to give the child something, the respectful thing, the honorable thing would be to ask the parent if you could give the child this thing, right?
Okay.
You wouldn't just give it to the child. So, and if you ask the parent might be, well, she's not behaving right now, don't give it to her, right? So it could be a situation like that. So all the blessings come and they come through your ancestors. They can either block or, or send them to.
Okay. So how about the concept? Everybody believes that since they've been mostly brainwashed and stuff, and I got to get terminology, brainwashed, and areas where if you pray this idol like Christianity, you'll be forgiven through the area. Oh, this, I'm doing wrong, and all of a sudden, oh, okay, please forgive me, and you forgive it. Now that concept, explain how that's not really correct, and because people I believe think they can do what they want to do in the world, and they're gonna the last minute they can kill, murder, whatever, and of course they pray some idol or some man with some ring in the finger. See, a $1 billion ring and he destroy people who enslaved all our people. They think praying that person is going to make a big difference in going to this so-called place, heaven or the word hell. Explain how that concept is really incorrect with other areas in Connecticut communities.
You want to touch on that? On forgiveness as like an emotional empty concept?
Yeah. You can finish if you want to say something. Well, according to our teaching, there is no such thing as forgiveness because everything we do become part of our history. So you, and also according to our teaching, when you go before Reserve, which is our Godfather, he is not going to what he is going to use to judge or to judge you is your actions. It's not your excuses. It's not how you feel. It's not what you say. It's going to be based on your actions. That's why we Kemetic, we strongly go by the 77 commandment, which tell us all the things that we need to do, not do.
You should not do.
That we should not do. So based on those commandments, we know how to behave. But the concept of forgiveness and having somebody forgive you, having somebody else represent you, because it doesn't. It's a European concept. It's a way for you to become more and more corrupted. Because as he said, you can't just do whatever you want to somebody, then say, "Oh, forgive me." It doesn't work like that in the existence because your action is recorded. Everything you do is saved. It's part of you basically. So just gotta be good. Whatever you think is good.
Yeah, I mean, all our actions are part of our history, as she said. Right? So everything is being recorded. It's actually been recorded by your own body. Right? So your own body would actually testify against you. You don't have to say anything. Your own body that was always there with you, that was there everywhere you were, right? Doing the things you were doing, right? Actually, so the hand you used to take something that didn't belong to you, right? That same hand will testify against you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to say about the Jesus dying for you on the cross. All that is just a story. I mean, if you're gonna really think about it, a God has to die for you. Like, if He's God, there's many other ways that He could resolve this. It's all a story, again, to keep you corrupted. So there is nobody no God that died for your sins.
And also, back in the days I used to be on even the Bible thing, right? It's about 18 until I really got awakened. And the key word for the Christian out there, he never said it was God. See, he said, "Who shall you say I am?" And they said he was supposed to be God. In the book that they talk about, they never said he never was God in the book. The so-called fake Constantine people put it as he was God. And the fake one who they made of the Christ, but when he never existed anyway, who stole from our ancestors. And like he said about your hand will profess, because even in that book it said that the last day you will confess your sins, because they see going back to our own ancestors, our own books, who stole from us and plagiarized our stuff and put in that book. Everything he said is correct. Even in that book you got, they stole from our ancestors. So understand what he's saying is in your book that they stole from what he's saying. And you know, one thing God, like a lot of times the Christians want to debate me a lot. And they can't stand me. You know what I'm saying? Even though they'll put out and tell me what it is. I know the book back in my hand. I read about it back in my hand, so I know every part of it. And I know they stole stuff from us. You know what I'm saying? So when they debate, I asked them, you know, you said, you know what root, you know, sword, you know, area. I said, well, look in the area because the concept, what you're saying to me, that Mary never existed. Because ain't no European, but back in the area days of that. So I'm going to get on the area of our history of how the concept of Kemet came up being, of who started this. I mean, they came after us for a reason to hide it. So why do we start hiding our books and stuff? What happened to that concept?
You have to understand the history of the Nile Valley region to really appreciate how things develop. And the Nile Valley region, or that region of Mauritania now we call Egypt, was actually the capital of Kemet. Right? And Kemet was basically the whole continent, and the Saudi Peninsula, that whole area, a large portion of the Middle East as well. So that whole area was under the rule of the pharaoh, who sat on the throne in the Nile Valley, right, in that region. Traditionally, it's called the Torah. Now, so that area, right, and all of Kemet in general, right, was like a beacon, right? Today we say Kemet was the light of the world, right? And so imagine back then where a lot of the people in surrounding areas, they didn't even have the arts of civilization, right? So, and within all of this, you have Kemet, which civilization, master craftsmen, all of that developing, and it's based on a particular culture and belief system, right? But the greater thing is, people were attracted to this area. First, they came in trying just to get some of the knowledge that we had, learn about civilization, how to personal hygiene, all of these things, basic things. So first they came in try to get some knowledge, but then over time, they wanted to, their ambition was to actually come and try to take over this region, right? And over time, when they, some of these groups in Europe got strong enough, and they thought they were strong enough, they would wait until there was a time in between pharaohs. That's usually when you would have like an invasion from the north. So they would wait till a time when there was no pharaoh on the throne, and then they would choose that time to come in, invade, and after some time they were able to come in and capture that region, conquer that region, and subdue the local population and impose themselves on that area. Now, after some amount of time with that, under that system, the people that live the culture, right? All the priests, all the administrators of the state, the royal lines, royal bloodlines, all of these people, they said, look, it seems like these people from the north, these invading hordes, they're not going to stop. And they come in, and when they come in, they just basically destroy all these things. But what we're going to do is we're going to take all the important things and we're just going to move with it. Because we see like this area here, and it could be because of all the pyramids and all the, the outward manifestations of or outward expressions of the culture that were there, we're being looked at now as like, trinkets, jewels, things to be traded on open market, things that, were valuable. So we said, okay, you know what? That stuff is not really that important in the scheme of things. We took the really important things, the knowledge, and other aspects, right, of our spiritual reality. We took that with us.
Okay.
And a lot of the people migrated to the West. So you'll find them in Western America now. And a lot of the bloodlines, they went west and south. So, just like in the beginning, the culture went from, the source of the Nile. That's what our ancestors say, right? Americans, they said, we came from the source of the Nile, which is either Uganda, Ethiopia. Those are the two main sources of the Nile. So they're coming from within the continent itself, and then the culture flowed down the Nile, right? And then found like its final expression and its greatest flourishing in the Nile Valley region.
Okay, now, what kind of the foods? See, right now we got issues with our health and problems up here because it gives a lot of like food that's bad for us. So it's killing us. Genocide food, all other stuff. So what traditional food did our ancestors eat, or what kind of food that is good in the diet area that we can eat for our own health? Because they get a lot of bad food, they're good for us. And we don't like dairy is bad for us, we know that. So what food that our ancestors ate that kept them healthy?
Well, see, that's one of the things where it's kind of like new age, we kind of like, if you look at traditional cultures and traditional people, they're not necessarily like vegetarian, but for the most part, most of the stuff they eat is vegetarian. But they will eat meat. But again, it's not heavy in the diet, and it's not something that's like a daily thing, right? So, and the diet is really simple. It's like a lot of grains and cereals. As you might with the traditional people, it's about actually growing the food, planting the food, that whole process, actually preparing things from scratch. So there's no processing of the food. Like any processing of the food that's happening is you processing it, right? Yeah. If it's you beating it in a mortar or whatsoever. But it's that whole process, right? So like the food from seed stage, taking it all the way to the plate, right? They know that whole process, right? It's a very timely, slow process. But that's what their life is all about. Like their life is built around that whole thing, right? Doing everything for themselves, right? So if you go to Merida, right, all of these traditional people, they're self-sufficient. They do everything that they need for themselves, okay? And they don't really need anything from the outside, okay? All right? But in terms of the diet, it's not anything crazy or normal. It's like in the mornings, it's a lot of cereals, whether it's millet or whatever the grain is, right? Cereals, a lot of root foods like yams, starches and stuff like that. And that's the stuff that's giving you energy and all that. So, I know a lot of the new age stuff coming out. I know, Dr. Sebi and all that, and I'm not trying to downplay anything that Dr. Sebi says. Dr. Sebi is totally on point. But I'm just saying, from the traditional approach is what it is, and it's not a bunch of like, oh, you know, don't eat this and don't eat that. They deal with dairy, but again, it's not pasteurized, packaged, and in a box. Right? This is something that if you want the milk, you go to the cow, you milk the cow, you take that fresh milk and you drink it. And it's a totally different thing. Like, a lot of people will tell you, like, if you've had fresh milk and you had pasteurized milk, they're two different things, right? The whole process of pasteurizing the milk, like, kills half the stuff that's actually in there that's vital to you, right? But again, you know, some people would make the argument, well, buy cow's milk, cow is not a human, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But again, traditionally, this is how we came up, okay? And if you think about it, this is how we've survived for thousands of years. Okay, this is how we've survived for thousands of years. And these are the resources that we had around us, and we made use of it. Okay. But it's nothing exotic or exquisite. It's just simple, basic, but unprocessed food, and food that you grow yourself.
And I just want to say concerning that, it's just balance. Everything is just having a perfect balance meal. Balance, you don't overdo it with anything. That's it.
Okay, all right. This is because we got a lot of concepts about different diet areas like that, about dairy products. Because some people said dairy causes a lot of areas, so coma, cancers, even kids' problem areas. So there's a lot of problems with the areas. I'm asked about that area dieting. Now, I see a lot of stuff that's over there, the herbs over there. So you know, the digestion area, dealing with the diet plans, the futurist area. I was outside of school. Like a lot of people in all these different churches, buildings, everything different from Muslim, Christianity, all this stuff. And they don't, the concept, what do you say to them when they say, well, what teaching that you could, like, say, like, President Muslim comes and say, okay, well, what your teaching is different than our teaching the Muslims, or what your teaching, what basically your basic function, you say yours beliefs is concreted. And with actually shows factual areas that we get our academic stuff from. They said, like, with the book said, what can you say when you show the stuff in the show? They really act that concept. I always tell them something else, but I'm going to explain where we get the concepts of.
Yeah, these things are overrated, man. Like, the fact that something is written down, we almost, like, makes it fact. Like, you know, that's how the Western mind thinks, you know, it's like, that approach is like, our knowledge wasn't written down. It's like the whole point was to live the knowledge. It wasn't like, you know, like your whole life is an expression of the knowledge. Okay? Like, you don't need to write it down anywhere. You know what I'm saying? If somebody wants to know how to live the life, just look at you. An example you set, the life you live. Right? That was the whole concept. Like, it was more spoken and communicated that way, right? So a lot of the things weren't written down. Even in ancient Kemet, what you find is a lot of the you might say the spiritual writings are things were on like pyramids, on the tombs and stuff, right? Because the certain passages and chants or hekarus that the Ka might need on their journey, that was written in the tomb. Right? So again, it was all done with the idea of helping this Ka, you know, on their journey to the Imhotep. Right? Okay. But the focus is not on writing it down. Like, the focus is more like writing it on your heart and like living it, as opposed to, you know, writing it down. But in terms of communicating the knowledge here within the Earth Center itself, right? Of course, we have some kind of structure. We have, you know, points that we a curriculum of sorts. Okay.
So I want you to say something in Kemetic area terminology. Speak Kemetic, to carry money in a sinister area that you say is positive nature. And you explain what you said, like a positive, or saying in Kemetic area. Saying, yes, like a sentence or saying, okay. A full philosophy.
Well, yeah, maybe we could break down some of the concepts in our names, let's say. So, for example, my name is Hekraim Ma'at Ibsau. Hekraim, my first name is, it's three concepts there. Hek, which means power, and then Ra, the letter Ra, and then In, which means within. Right? So it's like the power of Ra is within. That's what my the meaning of my name. My first name. My last name, Ma'at Ibsa'u, it means like the righteous heart of one belonging to the letter Sa'u. Sa'u is like a letter of wisdom and knowledge, kind of like the Huti.
Okay. Okay. All right.
My first name is Mary Happy, and Mary stands for beloved, and beloved, happy is the Nile. So I'm beloved by the happy, the Nile. I love my name actually. The concept, I just got my name, so I still have to meditate on what it means, but I know for sure that if someone is beloved by the Nile, which is a God, I have to have a certain personality that is beloved, because that's why I'm beloved. And my last name is Menmetusur, which is devoted, beloved. It means devoted, dedicated descendant of Reserve, which is our godfather. So another name that's used that that I have to carry, really be devoted to my godfather, to the teaching, to the ancestors, and all that. So,
okay, that's cool. All right, go down, man. I'm ready. It's kind of cute.
Very happy.
I never go name, but that's all right. Okay, now my name. Okay, who gave you these names? Did somebody from America that said, okay, hold on? How did that happen?
The name is actually, that's an excellent question, actually. Yeah, that's an excellent question, because the name is actually based on, it's not any person choosing this name. What's done is, as I said, this is spirituality, so it's a technical process. So what's done is the priests in Merita, they interrogate the earth, right? Because we are part of the earth.
Yeah.
Okay. So what they do is they interrogate the earth, and they check the energies that we are projecting, right? So as a part of the earth is emitting energy to the rest of the cosmos, which is basically there are two names. So one is like a personal energy that you're projecting, and then the last name, which is the generational name, right? And we might even speak to this later because it's a big part of the initiation, and it's a part that's coming directly out of the traditions. In that you go through the initiation as part of the generation. But the generational name is now basically, as a group, the energy the group is projected. Right? Okay. So then the name is basically chosen to
okay, I understand a little bit of that.
Convey that.
Okay, because I'm looking at all the signs and the cosmos. I understand that. My birthday is a Hikaru. My birthday, September 6th, is a birthday with one of the gods. I think hello,
from the calendar?
Yeah, September 6th.
September 6th. What are you talking about?
Birthday of hello.
Okay, September 6th.
Let me get the
so you have Whistler.
Because they said my birthday was one of the areas. So I had to go to the common area. But my birthday said one of the deities.
This is how
Right, so you're born.
a lot of us don't know that we have our own calendar. This is the calendar that the pharaohs used. You know,
The real calendar, the real.
This is
before Constantine changed it.
This is the calendar you need.
Yeah, before the one day calendar for Constantine, the real calendar, celestial calendar we got for Comedics. And they give the dates, individual days. If your birthday was on Tuesday this year, your birthday was Tuesday next year too. Nothing changed until Constantine got involved with it and changed it to leap year in August. So nothing changed. This is the original calendar.
You said September 6th.
September 6th.
Oh, he's
birthday wizard.
Birthday wizard. I'm not called Which is known. How do you say his name in the colonial system?
Oh, which one?
Osiris.
Yeah. So my birthday is wizard birthday, the deity of area, which is Osiris in the colonial areas. And see, the original calendar where it started was back in the day when they changed Kemet and outlaw Kemet and outlaw Madu. Because Madu's outlaw speaking our language, and it caused with Constantine. Constantine changed it and changed the calendar into their calendar to take over the world. So they had outlaw Madu speaking Madu, outlaw Kemet, and they started killing up the monks.
He could talk real quick about the calendar because he knows it.
So he'll tell you about the calendar area of how it goes.
Yeah. So this is the what's called the Kemetic sidereal calendar. It is based on the cycle of the Septet star, or Sirius star, right? And a lot of people aren't aware of this fact, but the leap year actually comes out of this system of time division, right? So it's based on Sirius. It has 13 months. Okay, it has 12 months with 30 days each, and then it has a 13th month with either 5 or 6 days. Okay, if it's a leap year, that last month will have 6 days, and that 6th day is called World Renewal Day. Right? And as I said before, it comes directly out of this time division system. Right? The modern scientists would want to tell you that the leap year actually comes out of the fact that the Earth takes 365 and a quarter days to do one complete rotation around the sun, which is not true. It's not based on that. Okay, the leap year is not based on that. The rotation of the Earth may work out to be roughly 265 and a quarter, but the leap year is not based on that. The leap year actually comes directly out of the system. And it's one of the things that's actually explained in the calendar itself. There's a lot of knowledge in the calendar here itself. That's why I'm just leafing through it so people could get an appreciation for all the information that's in there.
You want to tell them where they could get it if they don't want?
Yeah, sure. Give them the phone number.
Give them
the website.
The website.
You can get it at theearthcenter.org. Right? So you could go online and get it at theearthcenter.org, or you could, if there's an Earth Center location close by you, you could stop in at your local Earth Center location and pick up the calendar.
How many locations Earth Center got now?
Quite a few. We have San Diego. We just have one in Montreal. That's the latest.
We got one in London.
We got London, Birmingham. We have Chicago as always. The center in West Virginia, that one had some hard times, so that center is actually closed now. So we're no longer in West Virginia. But we're in Baltimore. I think Houston, if we didn't open a center here yet, it's in the works.
Okay.
So, and I know there's some people interested in Florida. There's a lot of interest, but it's just about people being committed, getting other people together, and then once we see there's a big enough group and there's people that are committed, then we would actually send some leadership there and try to actually start the process of opening a center there.
Okay. So the comedy, yeah, a very good concept. Everything's really good. Spirituality, everything. But see what I want to understand that what Kemet really is about, and the stuff you hear about Europeans taught you was areas really incorrect areas. So stuff you listen to follow your heart. And remember, it took you a million years to get here through your ancestors, the bloodlines. So don't waste your time with other nonsense. It took you a million years. My concept took a million years for me to get here. So my bloodline straight down to be born at a certain day, a certain time. So make every day worth being here that you call that travel. That's my whole concept. It took me a long time to get here. My concept, be born a certain day, be born who I am. So my main concept is don't waste your time and doing the furthest things you can be doing some more areas yourself and create stuff. We all creators. Basically, you gotta understand that this school teach you about yourself, your consciousness, your spirituality. We gonna start from the fake shamans who European. You can't have a dog teach a master how to act. Where it is. You know what I'm saying? The Europeans can't be no shaman. They can't tell you about yourself. We taught the area else. So you gotta understand where that comes from. I ain't going no kind of shamans that are European. You know what I'm saying? Because that makes no sense to me. You can't have a dog teach a master. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm born from masters, I'm born from gods. You can't tell me how to act in my own self. My ancestors could teach me. My people could teach me, but they can't teach me. Remember, we taught them, we enslaved the Europeans, but they try to save our mind. You know, it's like African mind when they enslave our Arabs. So get back to your roots, get back to where you came from, know your culture, know your history. Know that matter of fact, the word, I call it N-word, we wasn't the first N-word. We don't call it N-word, we don't call it niggas. Remember this. It was called troglodyte niggas. Troglodyte niggas.
Negus.
That's right, niggas. That's how you pronounce it. That's right. Was the European. For Europeans. And that meant cave dwellers. That wasn't us. That was them. They renamed us that name. They lied about that too. They were not no name for that. They were the true ones. Or cave dwellers. And we were the first enslaved. Irish were the first enslaved. Understand her history. And we was here first. This is our land, not their land. Remember that Black Christian code was the biggest cultural lie ever told and made us denationalize us. It's our culture. Call us color black. And rename the NBC. So this is a culture, this is a center. We'll teach you back to where your heritage comes from. Learn your roots, and you know who you are. So remember the concept that they teach you about culture, history, and what you need to know about yourself, spirituality. You can't have a dog teach a master how to act. Remember this terminology. I'm gonna get back to my people here. Let me explain to you more about the concepts, even about who taught. Let's learn more about the person who started everything.
Right.
Get his background.
Prophet.
Yeah, teach you about how he come to be, how he come to form, who he born, what his heritage. I mean, they teach everything where he comes from, and how he came to be over here and over in America.
Yeah, well, this is a prophet of the tradition, but I want to do something. He was born in Burkina Faso. He's from the Nawa bloodline. And their bloodline is like a priestly bloodline that can trace their history back to the time of the pharaohs. Right? So they're shrine keepers. They deal with the upkeep of the shrines and maintain the knowledge of astronomy and other aspects. Right? So he is coming from a long line of priests, and he maintained that tradition. He went into initiation, I think, when he was 7. Studied for numerous years. Was known as a master, meaning like master of the self. Right? So he was already a master when he actually came to. Well, he didn't just jump up and come to the West. What happened was he got the vision to bring the knowledge out to the rest of humanity, and what he did was he went and he got the permission of the royalty and the elders and basically his nation, right, to bring this knowledge out.
So that's like that Black Panther movie quote.
Yeah. So a lot of people, like, when I actually saw that movie, I draw a parallel with this knowledge and that whole storyline, because you could replace the technology and all the things they were talking about in Black Panther with spiritual knowledge, right? And what you see is that we've been, our ancestors and these people in Merita, these traditional people, they've held on to this this spiritual knowledge for thousands of years. They've kept it pure. They've preserved it, and they've passed it on. Okay. And they passed it on to the prophet, and he decided that it was time. And I guess that was part of his destiny, right? To take the knowledge out and to let the world know that traditional people, they're holding something too. Yeah. They're holding like the natural approach to life, the approach that is proven sustainable, right? And I think that's the approach that is, you might say, earth friendly, right? Yeah. Because I like the concept areas, and like now, see over in Africa now, some parts is in turmoil. I don't, what I'm saying, the bottom line I get, I also like to see over there now. They should have been told the Europeans to get out of their country over the point. But maybe we should have told them out of the country. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, when is the peace or the spirituality will hit the homeland? Because, you know what I'm saying, that the core of that spirituality was there that we got now, it's like it kind of left that area from there. You know what I'm saying? To the wars that's going on now. Yeah. We get a piece of here, but now over there it's like crazy. Some parts. Well, you have to realize, like America, it's been under colonialism for a long time. So if you think about what happened to the continent, it's really like it's like a double whammy, you might say. With slave trade and slavery, it was the youngest, strongest, the best, you might say, taken, extracted. So what was left, they had to kind of maintain. Right? Yeah. The youngest, strongest, a lot of times, extracted. And then those that were left, they had colonialism imposed on them too. Right? Okay. So it wasn't like, they were over there and then, they, could practice, their traditional systems. Yeah, I say that too. So what you see in Merita is what you might say is like the colonial phase and the traditional phase. The traditional aspect of Merita, that's where the knowledge is. The colonial phase, it's gonna be like here. The people gonna behave the same way. It's the same Western mentality, the same kind of thinking, and all of that. But when you go to the village, when you're in the village, it's like it's a different code, different set of values. Certain type of behavior, not tolerated around, here. In the city, you do whatever you want, right? But that's how it is. Like a lot of people get confused sometimes. Like the concept, like I said, with the parents when movies like Kilimanjaro, like why did he come back in, bring it back in? He did a second. See, he did a good thing. He brought the culture back here, and that's what I said. I'm a room for Kilimanjaro. I'm rooting for the other man. I'm sorry, because he did like why he holding on that culture over there where people really need him. So I'm rooting for the other guy. I'm like, I'm glad he kicked off the mountain. I'm like, yeah, kick him off. You know what I'm saying? But I got mad when the European flies the plane, and you know what I'm saying? Like, why do you need him in the movie? Like the sisters could fly their own airplanes.
So they're trying to say they need a European in an area to fly the plane. Because see, I'm looking like, wait a minute, the sisters for plane, but they put a European to save the day. So I ain't like that movie at all.
Yeah. He didn't save the day.
If you want from flying that plane, my concept like, oh, I can leave them. Had an all plan to all our people that movie.
He said Hollywood.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what you have to understand. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's like it was financed and put together.
Well, I want to see, truthfully, I want to see
Hollywood.
I want to see it. Movie this. I want to see this movie. Our movie.
I want to see. We're gonna have to do this one ourselves.
The real movie. I want to see at the beginning. I want to see them do. I want to see them out the
we
new.
know how to do it.
Yeah.
If it's outside, it'll become
out the new. I want to see them come out the new. I want to see them come out that concept. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the wisdom we need to know. Because these people had lost. And this comes from because I'm a comedic more. So I know the concept of both areas. You know what I'm saying? Most areas of the concept. I'm asking Joseph this whole concept of what we came from. We lost out there. The people lost. So we need to get back to this area and give the real knowledge back to the people because these guys here lost. And they don't know they don't know about Black Fisher Code. They don't know that back in the code. They don't know about Black Wall Street. When we got slaughtered, 3,000 people got slaughtered, and we had our own oils and companies. They don't know about Europa. They don't know about evolutionary. They don't know about the whole coming island. They don't know who the first king is dynasties. So all these people, that's us, that we started this whole generation. We were here for even a dollar bill got our seal on it. They don't know that either. That's a seal. That's our seal. More. We made them civilized.
It was like Dr. Clark said, man. Dr. Clark said, it's like, you have to realize that information was colonized.
Yeah, and they don't know that.
So the history has been colonized.
The first president wasn't even European. The first president was more John Hanson. Eight presidents was all Afro-American. Without Afro-American, they were all of more confidence. Ninth president was Joe Washington. He was a nice president. We could own this land. And this all came from Kemet. It came always from Kemet. You know, the everything came from Kemet. These are original concepts. I want you to understand something. Kemet was here first. Everything starts from Kemet. The false teaching came from the Catholic religion, or false. And as the Catholic religion came, everything, all other religions, they're all natural, not false. They're not true. They were enslaved. The Pope is the biggest pimp. The Pope is the one that enslaved everybody through the Catholic religion, enslaved all your people. How they got paid. How they got the $1 million, $1 billion jewelry in their fingers. You know what I'm saying? That's how they got the money from us. Know your history. Know your history. And don't lose your African mind. Jones L, Claude Jones presents.
Here.
What? Thank you for having a segment. And look for the part 4. This may be a segment another time. Also come soon. Jones L.